Today we're talking about one of the most famous machine guns of World War II, a weapon with a terrifying reputation for many reasons. We'll share little-known stories surrounding it, explain the squad tactics, show what it was like to be part of the crew operating it, and why its operators sometimes went crazy after seeing the destruction their weapon caused. Introduction. As the way of warfare drastically changed after the First World War and Germany focused on blitzkrieg tactics, they needed something lighter to follow rapid advancements. Unlike the heavy MG-08, with its water-cooled system and a weight of 88 pounds, German engineers switched to air-cooled machine guns and in 1930 created the MG-13. However, it had only a 25-round magazine, which lasted just 2.5 seconds when fired continuously. Then, 4 years later, came the iconic MG-34, the first true general-purpose machine gun. It was belt-fed and featured a quick-change barrel system. With a firing rate of 900 rounds per minute, it was reliable and effective. However, it was expensive and difficult to produce, requiring 150 man-hours to make a single machine gun. Then, engineers were tasked with quite a challenge: to produce a good, reliable and powerful machine gun with a terrifying rate of fire between 20 and 25 rounds per second, while being as cheap and easy to produce as possible. To everyone's surprise, they created what would become one of the best machine guns ever made, still in service to this day with only minor adjustments. By using stamped metal parts and reducing production time to just 75 man-hours at lower costs, the MG-42 was born. It was significantly more reliable than the MG-34, with a quick-change barrel system, and it could fire 1,200 rounds per minute, more than double the rate of all other Allied machine guns. Its most significant drawback was a tendency for bolt bounce, which sometimes led to catastrophic failures. Despite this, in just 3 years, 423,000 MG-42s were produced, quickly becoming Germany's primary tool for killing. Even US soldiers who gave mocking nicknames to both their own and enemy weapons, such as Screaming Mimis, Potato Mashers, or Bouncing Bettys, gave this weapon a more ominous name: the Buzzsaw, or Hitler's Buzzsaw. Germans initially called it the Bone Saw, but US soldiers slightly modified the translation. For soldiers who had never seen combat, propaganda movies were shown to downgrade the MG-42 and its characteristics. These films compared it to American weapons and portrayed it as inferior, claiming its bark was worse than its bite. Try selling that to battle-hardened veterans. Now, let's move on to the crew and tactics. The MG-42 was the most important component of the German infantry squad during World War II and the main source of firepower. The squad consisted of 10 men, a squad leader, a second-in-command, a 3-man machine gun team, the gunner, assistant gunner, and ammunition carrier, and 5 riflemen. The MG-42 was the backbone of the squad's firepower, and the entire team was organized around its operation, protection, and effectiveness. The machine gunner, designated as Schütze 1, fired the gun and was responsible for maintenance. He was positioned at the center of the formation and carried the machine gun, along with a sidearm and an ammunition drum holding 50 rounds. The assistant gunner, seated to the gunner's left or rear, carried 4 additional ammunition drums of 50 rounds each and 1 ammunition box with 300 rounds. He was also armed with a pistol. His role was to feed ammunition, assist in clearing jams, reload, change barrels, and support the gunner during combat. If the gunner was incapacitated, the assistant would take over. The ammunition carrier, positioned further back, carried 2 additional ammunition boxes of 300 rounds each and was equipped with a shortened Kar-98. Each rifleman carried a Kar-98 rifle with 45 rounds and a bayonet, but they usually took additional rounds for combat. Riflemen were most important in offensive operations, where they would charge enemy positions under the cover of the machine gun. The squad leader was equipped with an MP-40 submachine gun and carried 6 magazines of 32 rounds. The squad typically carried at least 1,800 rounds of powerful 7.92 by 57mm ammunition in belts, which was the same round used by the rifles, as well as hand grenades and a tripod that could be carried like a backpack. The squad leader commanded the unit, directing the gunner to targets and coordinating with the riflemen if needed. The second-in-command would take over leadership of the squad if the leader was incapacitated and was responsible for maintaining communication with the platoon, command, and other squads. The MG-42 could be used in both light and heavy roles, mounted on a tripod or bipod, or even fired from another soldier's back or shoulder in emergencies. In the light role, it was employed in the standard 10-man configuration. In medium and heavy roles, however, 2 or even 4 squads could be combined, each armed with one MG-42. A horse and wagon were usually used for ammunition transportation. Due to its immense recoil, strong soldiers were required to operate it, and controlling the gun while firing on the move was especially challenging. So, how were the crews trained to use it? For suppressive fire, they were instructed to use short, controlled bursts of just 5 to 7 rounds, requiring precise trigger discipline. In heavy engagements, a fresh barrel allowed for only about 20 seconds of firing, and after approximately 250 rounds, the glowing red barrel had to be replaced. The assistant gunner would release a latch on the gun's side, remove the hot barrel, and insert a new one. A well-trained crew could complete this process in under 10 seconds, rotating the barrels to prevent damage to the gun. Allied soldiers were aware of this and trained to use the short window during barrel changes to advance. The bipod made the gun lightweight and easy to deploy in prone positions, making it ideal for offensive maneuvers. The heavier tripod was primarily used for fixed positions and defense, offering stable and accurate fire. It could also be used for indirect fire with precise optics, effectively turning the machine gun into a lightweight artillery piece. The tripod featured a built-in mechanism that automatically moved the gun in a preset sweeping motion, allowing it to cover a wide area accurately. In addition to infantry use, the MG-42 was mounted on vehicles such as half-tracks, tanks, and even motorcycles with sidecars. It was also highly effective as an anti-aircraft weapon against low-flying planes and shot down many paratroopers jumping during daylight. However, serving as part of an MG-42 crew was a double-edged sword. While the machine gun was one of the deadliest weapons on the battlefield, its reputation and effectiveness also made it a prime target. Crews were the first to be targeted by artillery, tanks, and snipers, and it was uncertain what would happen to you if you surrendered after mowing down waves of enemy soldiers' comrades. Additionally, due to its distinctive sound when firing, after just a few rounds, everyone knew where you were. Because of this, crews changed their positions periodically during battles. However, this wasn't always possible, especially in defensive positions where they had to hold their ground, leading to higher casualty rates among gunners and assistants. One interesting story of how an MG-42 reached America involves Private First Class Leonard Linieski. While driving his truck through a recently secured area in Belgium, he spotted something beside the road. Although he wasn't supposed to, he stopped and picked up what turned out to be an abandoned MG-42. Since he didn't know how to handle it, he bribed a German English-speaking prisoner with 2 packs of cigarettes to teach him how to disassemble it. Liniewski then mailed it home in pieces, and the MG-42 stayed in his family until 2016, when his son donated it to a museum. One thing you would never do is charge across open ground directly at an MG-42 nest. In battles like D-Day, it became clear what just a few MG-42s could do. Heinrich Severloh, for example, was a German soldier stationed at Omaha Beach during the invasion. He fired approximately 13,000 rounds from his machine gun and was responsible for hundreds of Allied deaths. Crews who saw intense fighting were often haunted by the sheer number of lives they took in mere seconds, and there were reports of soldiers mentally breaking down after battles. The Eastern Front is another example where the MG-42 was used to devastating effect against the Red Army's human wave attacks. You can imagine the outcome. The MG-42 also played a dark role in operations beyond the battlefield in occupied countries, used to control large masses and crush resistance. It was frequently deployed in retaliation operations against resistance movements, often targeting the local population. One such instance occurred in Yugoslavia, where approximately 2,500 civilians were ordered to be shot as retaliation for partisans attacking a German patrol. In this case, one German soldier refused a direct order to shoot and was executed by his commander. On the other side, captured MG-42s were highly prized by the Allies, especially by partisan groups and resistance fighters. The gun was ideal for guerrilla warfare and hit-and-run tactics. During World War II, the United States attempted to reverse-engineer captured MG-42s, creating the T-24 prototype. While it resembled the MG-42, the US couldn't achieve a firing rate higher than 600 rounds per minute, and the prototype suffered from frequent malfunctions and overheating. The project was eventually scrapped, and the focus shifted back to the production of BAR. The design of the MG-42 was so effective that it influenced many modern machine guns, and technically the gun is still in service today, with only minor improvements under the name MG-3. It is chambered for the 7.62 by 51mm NATO round and features an adjustable rate of fire. Beyond that, it inspired some of the most famous machine guns, including the American M60, which is a direct combination of the German MG-42 and FG-42.